Hello, everybody. I'm Macy Heatland, the Digital Success Lead. I want to welcome you guys to our webinar to learn more about the Cropwise Seed Selector. So with that, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to put them in the Q&A box at the bottom, and we will get those answered at the end of the webinar series when we open it up for questions. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Trent Murdoch at Ed Connections.
Okay, thank you very much, Macy. So from here, we are going to be going through all of the updates like Macy said. So we've got Field Manager here. We will then navigate to Cropwise Imagery, and then finally we'll end up with the Product Analyzer. From this point forward, if you are seeing different tiles here, so maybe you have an extra tile, it's just because you have a different level of access. So you will be able to use that other tile if you have that level of access. We'll go ahead and we will get started with the Field Manager though. We're going to open the app here at the bottom. So we'll select upon Open App. If you are returning to the Field Manager, you'll be able to see any growers that you've previously worked in. So I've got one grower here that I've created a solution for. If you want to go back into that grower and pick up right where you left off, you would simply select that. But for today's demonstration, we'll go ahead and select a new grower. So I'll just name this Rob, and then we'll go ahead and create this grower down here at the bottom. Once you come in, you will be able to see basically the corn belt of the US. So you'll be able to see all the different states here. And you've got a couple different options for scrolling around on this map. You can type in an address and this will take you straight to a grower's farm. You can, of course, click and drag on the map. If you want to use the scroll wheel on your mouse, you can actually zoom in and out using the scroll wheel. And then finally, the last thing is you can hold down Shift and left click and drag a box, and that will zoom in on your map. So again, we've got an address down here in the bottom right-hand corner. We can zoom in and out with the scroll wheel, or we can left click and hold Shift and drag a box. So whatever way is most comfortable for you, that's how you should do it. From there, once we get into this level, you will be able to see these white boundaries. Those are your CLU maps. If you are in a part of the country that does not have CLU boundaries, you will have to use the draw tool, and I will show you that momentarily. But let's go ahead and let's choose the CLU boundaries here. So let me find a good field. This is a good one. All I'm going to do is hover in the box, and then I will left click, and then all I have to do from that point is hit add field. So you can see that it generated that field, called it field 1, and put it over here in my list. If I want to add another field, all I do is navigate to another field, select upon it, and then select add field. So I've added 2 fields there. If you have a field that is comprised of multiple CLU boundaries, like this field right here, all you have to do is navigate to the right-hand side of your screen and choose the select multiple fields option. So once that is highlighted blue, you will be able to select as many of these polygons as you want. Once you have them all selected, you can hit add field, and that will add it to your field list. So very easy to do. So you just select that, select the polygons you want, and click add. So what if you are in a part of the country that does not have CLU boundaries? Well, you're just simply going to navigate to the pencil icon, and then you're going to have 2 options below that. You've got a polygon tool, and then you have a rectangle tool. If you're somewhere where you have very, very square fields, this rectangle tool works very quickly and very easily. However, let's use this draw polygon since these fields are a little bit not very rectangular. So we'll go ahead and select upon that. We'll get the crosshairs, and then from that point, we are just single clicking and dropping points around this boundary. Once we have gotten to the last set of points, you can come up here and select on this one to close it, or you can hit finish, whatever is most comfortable for you. I'm just going to select on my first point, and that will add it to the field. So you can see I've quickly drawn that. So let me show you the rectangle tool. So I've got a nice rectangular field up here. It's a little bit away from my other ones, but this is a nice field. I'm going to choose the rectangle box. So I'm still under my pencil icon here. I will choose the rectangle box. and I will go ahead and drop and drag a point across this particular field. From there, when I let go, it goes ahead and adds that to my field. So you can see that I can quickly draw fields. So in a matter of a few seconds, really, I've already added 5 fields to this grower. So you can tell that this tool was set up to be extremely easy to use and extremely easy for you to add fields. Just for this demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and add a couple more fields so that we can show some of the other tools later on. So I'm going to go ahead and add another field there, and we'll add one more for good measure. So we've already added 7 fields in a matter of a few minutes. Let's go over here to our field list and let's start talking about this. So if I go in my field list, I've got an up arrow here and a down arrow. I can navigate through this list. From there, if I want to go ahead and start making recommendations for this field, I'm going to just simply click on the field name, and that will open us up to this level. If I want to edit the name and actually name it what the field is called, I'm going to hit the pencil icon and then just type in whatever I want to call this field, and then just hit the I can just click out of it from there. So just simply click out. You can see that it's renamed the field. You can rename the other ones. From there, let's put in the information about this field. I'm going to navigate over to the pencil and notepad icon, select that. It's defaults to a cornfield. You can set whether it's irrigated or non-irrigated. From there, we can actually open this up and change our maturity range. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to make this 100. Let's do 100 to 105 day. Okay, so that's a decent maturity range there. And then finally, we have an option to select the Inogen field here. So if we want to choose an Inogen field, we can select that there. With that, we've pretty much got all of our information set for this particular field, and we can navigate to Seed Selector. If once we navigate into Seed Selector, you're going to see that it's saved the workplace there, and it will bring us into this view here. So we will have our weather data. The view has changed a little bit from the past. So the weather data has moved over here to the left-hand side. Again, we still have the different scenarios. So on this particular field, we have 5 different weather scenarios. So we've got a very high stress year and a very low stress year. So you can see the different things there. Since we do not know what a year will bring, we are defaulted to a balanced recommendation. So what that is, it's an average of all 20 of these years worth of weather data, and it just gives us the best average for our particular hybrids up here. In this list, we can see the different hybrids that we have available. So you can see the top 4 particular hybrids for this field. If there were more hybrids, you would see those down here, and they would not have a golden bar, but in that date range or in the maturity range that we set, there are only 4 hybrids that are actually pretty good for this field. The next thing that I want to show is that we can fix these cards. What that does is it allows me to toggle between these and just watch how they change related to the weather conditions that they're in. So you can see in the lower stress years, this particular hybrid may not do the best, and you can see that. So if you unfix the cards, though, it does reshuffle these cards. So it shuffles them to put the best one in the first place. So you may not want that to happen. So let's go back to our balance recommendation, and let's talk about these gauges. So these gauges are just indicating how this particular hybrid is going to perform stacked up against the other hybrids in the group. So you can see that this is the best performer, this is second best performer, and this one is very close to this one. And this one is not a good recommendation for this particular field. So with that, this is not saying that it's going to yield 230 bushel corn and this one's going to yield 200 bushel corn. It's just saying that all things given, weather conditions, maturities, and things like that, this one is typically going to out yield this one. So think of it that way. From there, we've got a couple different views. So we can look at our trait views here. That will open up all the trait packages that are available for this particular hybrid. And then from there, we have our agronomic characteristics. So we can see all the agronomic characteristics for all the hybrids we have in our list. Moving on across, we have our trait filters. So we can actually select a trait filter here and just choose the one that we want. So if we know that we need above and below ground traits, we'll select that and then we'll choose filter, and that will filter out any hybrids that do not have a trait package with above and below ground traits. So with that, I'm going to go back to my rank view and let's start talking about these cards. So here we have the hybrid name, we have its relative maturity, and these three dots, if we select upon the three dots, we can look at the agronomic characteristics for this particular field. We can go into the product analyzer for this particular hybrid. So you can go straight into the product analyzer, and we will cover the product analyzer more in depth in a moment. So towards the end of the presentation, we can actually open up the tech sheets. So we can see that tech sheet there. And then finally, we can actually see the AgriCore sheet for this particular hybrid. So you can get to those very, very quickly and very, very easily. So it's really convenient that we have those there. And we will just navigate back to this, and I'm going to switch the view back to a rank view. And now the last thing that you really have to do is select one of these seeds for this particular farm. So I'm going to navigate down to where it says Save Solution at the bottom of the tile. I will open that up. I will select the trait package that I want. You will notice that our box has one in it now, and I can go through and I can actually select multiple hybrids if I want to. I can select up to 5 different hybrids to add to a particular field. Once you have made your selections, you can navigate down to the bottom left and simply select on Done, and that will take you back out to the field manager. Now we can see that those particular hybrids have been placed on this field. Let's go ahead and let's assign the crops to these particular fields, because Macy is going to show us in just a moment the success packs and how those work. So I'm going to go ahead and just assign different crops to these fields. So I'm going to go down to field 2. I'm going to go ahead and select soybeans, and then I'm going to set the maturity from 2.5 to, we'll say 4 on this particular field. So we'll go ahead and say 4, and then we'll do 2.5 here. So with that, I've set my maturity range, and then I'm going to move to the next field. I'm going to go ahead and set this as soybeans as well. You will see that we will need to reset that maturity range. So we can set that there. If we want a different maturity range, we can set it. And then finally, the last thing that I want to do is come down here and set a couple to Inogen. So if I open this up, I can drop this down. It's on corn. I'm going to select Inogen, and you can see my maturity range is saved from the one that I used the seed selector on. And I'll go ahead and make this field 5 Inogen as well, and we'll leave the other 2 as corn. With that, I'm going to go ahead and let Macy take back over, and she's going to show us our success packs. So Macy.
So once you have all of your fields mapped, you'll simply hit Open in Success Packs in the top right corner. That is going to pull in all of our fields that we just mapped. So it doesn't matter whether it was corn, soybeans, or Inogen, it's pulling all of them in. So that's the neat thing about Success Packs, is it's giving us the option to seamlessly work through our fields from start to finish all at once. So once we're in here, you're going to see that it pulls in the Syngenta hybrids. We can click soybeans and Inogen to filter through what products on the Syngenta side we want to see. And it gives us the ability to pull in our competitors. So if we click Add Competitors, we can pull those in by simply clicking on them. And it is going to give us the ability to run the NK products against the competitors. So this truly is giving your retailers the option to give a full farm proposal to a grower. So from here, I'm going to select on a field, and then it's going to pull in the information based on that field. So we can see here, if I zoom in a little bit, you're going to see the different soil information within that field. So if we click on different soil colors here, it's going to give us that information over on the left side of the screen as far as productivity with that soil index. I recommend hitting the soil type that appears the most within that field, but it's also nice to click around and just watch where these products all align. So from here, you can see what products it's going to rank up against NK versus the competitors you have selected. So you can see in this instance, it's recommending the decal 105 to 109 day range products over the others that are listed here. So I will point out here that we did bundle the competitors together kind of anywhere from a 3 to 5 day range on maturity. This gives us the ability to pull in more data from the competitors so that we can be more competitive with those. Versus if we just had limited information on some hybrids, we wouldn't necessarily be able to pull those in. So by grouping them together, it's giving us the ability to pull in more competitor options. So from here, I'm going to leave that one selected, and then we can split this field so we can also pull in one of our NK products to put up against it. So if I select the decal product first, it's going to indicate that all 97 acres are currently committed to the decal products. If we move this, we can simply click and drag the circle, or we can click within the bar to see where that falls. So this is going to assign 47% or basically 46 acres of this field to the decal product. From here, we can select our NK product. And again, you have the option to select between trait packages here. I'm going to go with the 3120, and it's automatically going to default that to the remaining 53% or 41.4 acres. So from there, that is done. We'll simply move on to the next field. So this one is going to be soybeans. So it's going to filter through and pull in the soybeans. So same information as the corn. You just work through seamlessly between products. It's going to automatically default to that top one. So this is giving us the E3 all the way to the extend. So you just want to watch that on which traits you want to pick there. So for our hybrids, say that we don't want the E3 trait, we want the extend, we can go ahead and select that here, and then we'll plant 100% of that field in that variety. So from here, you would just continue to work through your map and assign crops to all of your fields. I do want to navigate to the right side of the screen where you can see the shopping cart. If we click on that, it is going to give us a breakdown of all the products we have selected so far on these fields. So we can see here for NK corn, we have all of these products. I want to point out, so for the decal, we can hit this pencil icon. If your retailer knows exactly what that grower is planting, we can come in here and override that. So we can put in an actual hybrid, and then that will appear on our PDF printout that I will run through here in a minute. And then it also gives us a breakdown of our soybeans. And if we had an Inogen, it would be the same thing there. It would tell us what Inogen products we have selected. So once we're done there, we can exit out. But it's indicating on each field how many products are selected per field. So you can see all of the ones we don't have product on yet don't have a number indication on them. So this one's simply saying that we have 2 products selected. We have 2 products selected on this one. We only have 1 on this one. So that is success packs. So you would just seamlessly work through each one of those fields, assigning your crops. From there, I'm going to hit done, and we'll go back to the field manager where we can generate our report. So we'll hit report, and then from there we can type in the title, and we can upload images. So from here, we can add this. So if your retailer has their company image they want to add to the cover page, they can go ahead and upload that here. We'll hit confirm. And then from here, this circle is indicating that it is loading that report in the background. Once it's done, it will pop up at the bottom in your downloads bar. I have one open here, so I'm going to show you what this looks like. So that image we uploaded goes in the upper left corner of the report. And then from there, the title page also gives us the name. So if you put that grower name in there, it's going to put that there and the date we generated the report. And then each page following is going to be a breakout by field what hybrids or varieties we had selected for that field. So you can see here, field 1, we have 2 products selected. It's giving us a breakdown of the weather information. And then similar to what you saw within the seed selector, those dial gauges are going to be here along with some of the agronomic characteristics for each one. And then I will point out, if you added a competitor, you can see here that when you type in that, it actually keeps that change there. So they have the exact hybrid that they planted on that field. And with that, I'm going to hand it back over to Trent.
Okay, thank you very much, Macy. So from here, we are going to navigate into Cropwise imagery. So if you notice up here at the top, we have an open-end Cropwise imagery. So if we select upon this, after we have our fields drawn, of course, we will go ahead and open this up. What this is going to do is it's going to take us to our Cropwise imagery view. So if you do not have an account with FarmShots, you will have to go ahead and set that up. All you have to do is register and you should be able to get in. There's nothing else that you should have to do other than registering. Once you come in here, you are going to notice that it does put a FM dash and the grower name there. So you can delete that out if you want to. It's totally up to you. You can put whatever you want in here to rename it. So that's going to be what your field is named down here in the bottom. So once we're done naming it, we are going to select save. And that's going to open us up to this view here, which we can see all the fields that we've drawn. You can see the ones that are Inogen are highlighted in a lighter green color. And then the ones that are NK soybeans and NK corn hybrids are highlighted in that blue color. From there, it's going to go ahead and start loading up imagery. This could take a few moments to upload, so you'll be able to see that imagery there. And once that comes in, you're going to notice several things about it. So you can notice whether it's a partly cloudy imagery, piece of imagery, or full sun imagery, or completely cloudy. So you notice that there are a couple options that we can use here. So if we select upon options, we can adjust the amount of cloud cover that we think is acceptable. So it does have some algorithms to pick out clouds. So you can actually select that there. You can choose where the image came from. So it's defaulted to Sentinel, but we do have Landsat here. Once we've made these selections here, we can go back to our images and it looks like we have some loaded. So we'll go ahead and select on this January 17th image. That will bring up all the imagery for this particular date. So you can see all the different colors here. You can see all that information there. You will notice that it is set to NDVI red here. There is a drop down that you can choose different options here. So you've got soil adjusted index there. You've got visual. We can open this up and you can see all the different ones. And there's a little bit of a description underneath it as to what that actually means. From there, so let's navigate out just a little bit here. We also have a variable view. So if we select upon that, so we're going to select on a field here, and then we will, I'm going to get rid of that, and we will select upon this. What this does is it makes a little more contrast for a particular field. So if I select on that field, it just makes it a little more contrasting so that you have a better view. So we'll deselect that, and now we will move to our measuring tool here. So if you want to draw a measuring line, you can actually just draw a measuring line and double click when you're done. You can save that to your clipboard if you want to, if you need to measure any distances. To get rid of that, we will simply navigate back to the measuring tool. And the last one of the tools that we have up here available to us is the histogram view. So if we select on the name over here with the bar graph, we can actually open that up and see the histogram view for each one of these fields. So you can see all that there. You can save it as a PDF here. So you can see all different information, very, very handy to have. So I'm going to navigate back out to my map by clicking on the name here, and that will navigate me back to my map. From here, let's navigate down the tools over here on the left-hand side of the screen. So we are in the image option here. If we want to move down to fields, we can open that up. We can actually select on a field. And what this is really important for is that there is a mobile app for this as well. So you can actually do in-field scouting in the mobile app, and you can see those come in here. So we can select a field You would be able to see any notes and any scouting events that have been done for this particular field. You can also edit any field information there as well as deleting it. So that is the fields. We also have a notes section, so you'd be able to see any notes there for this particular field. And then lastly, we have a prescription view here. So if we click on this prescription, we can actually create a prescription based off this image. So if we want to do a planting application or a crop protection application or a fertilizer application, you can do that here. We'll just choose crop protection. We will actually, let's do a planting rate, and then we can hand draw zone or do zones by color. We'll just choose OK. From here, we will select our field that we want. We'll select continue. What will you be planting? I'm just going to use NK0330, and then we'll choose that. And now you have the ability to create zones in this field. So you get this nice blue dot, and we can zoom out just a little bit. And say you want to split this field into thirds, you just click and drag, and then double click on your last point. That will break it into two, and then you can come in and make as many zones as you want. You can also do a polygon, so you can actually create another zone there. So if you wanted to create a polygon in this field, you could do that there by clicking on your last point. From there, we can put in a seeding rate. So say we want to put in 32,000 for this one. We can go down to the next one, 32, say 100. And then for the last one, we'll say 28,000 just to give it some diversity in there. With that, we'll hit continue, and that will make the rates change throughout there. And then from there, we can hit save. So once we save this, we now have a prescription for this field that we can export as a shapefile. So we can move up to download. We can download that shapefile there and send it out. With that, that's mostly what I want to run through within Cropwise imagery. We can select the drone icon if we want to upload drone imagery. There's a gear icon with some settings. If you need some how-to walkthroughs, they have that here under the question mark. And from there, we can close that. And if you want to go back to your farms view or that dashboard view, you can actually navigate back out to that. So with that, let's navigate back to Field Manager, and let's run through the last things in there. So I'm going to navigate down to Done at the bottom left-hand corner. We'll come back in, and now we're back in our Field Manager. Really, the last thing that I want to show you, or last couple things I want to show you in here, is if you go up to your grower icon, or your gear icon here, excuse me, you can actually delete growers. So if you wanted to delete a different grower, you could actually come in here and delete one. Now, one thing to note is you cannot delete the grower that you're in. So remember that you'll have to have at least 2 growers if you want to delete one of them. From there, I want to pull your attention to the minus button and the X button. So this is a minimize button, and this is an X button, just like you have up here on your browser. So if you hit minimize, that just minimizes it. And if you hit the X, it actually closes it out. Let me show that. So if I minimize it, I'll come back out to the screen. If I wanted to go into Product Analyzer, I could do that here. If I wanted to go into Cropwise imagery, I could do that here. But you will notice that this is still open here. So we've got a green dot. If I hit Open App, that's going to take me right back to where I was at. So it takes you directly back to this. From there, if I hit the X, though, you'll notice the green dot is gone. If I hit Open App now, I will have to select my grower and go back into it there. So pretty straightforward, but that can save you a little bit of time up there. With that, if you've already pushed images into Cropwise imagery, you can simply open the app from here and go into it. That will save you a step. So basically everything that I showed you there, but you're not pushing fields over, and you can navigate down and find the fields that you want there. So with that, I'm going to close this, and I'm going to go into and briefly talk about the product analyzer. So if we open the product analyzer app, that will bring us into this view. And it's important to note that there are 2 different views of this. There is a light version and a heavy version. So today you'll see the heavy version, but if yours differs slightly, that's why there are two different versions here. So if you already have a workspace saved, you will see that there and you can open that back up. But let's just create a new one, and I'm simply going to call it new. So we'll go ahead and create this workspace. You're going to choose whether you want corn or soybeans. It's totally up to you. So we'll choose corn for today, since we've been doing predominantly corn. And from here, we need to choose which hybrid we are going to view. So we're going to come here to where it says entry name. We'll open that up. You certainly can search it here, or you can just scroll down and find the particular hybrid you want. We'll go with a 105-day hybrid there. And from there, we will select Analyze here. So this green Analyze button, that is pulling up all the plot data for this particular hybrid. So it'll bring it in, and it will take it a minute to load because it's been used a lot of times. So we've got this in 1,202 locations. You can see all the different things there. You can see that we are in a pairwise comparison, so you can see the different comparisons. You can also see a map over here. So you can see there are a lot of dots and a lot of data points on here. Say you are not concerned at all about what is going on in Colorado and you're just concerned about what's going on in Iowa. You can filter this down. So to filter this down, you are going to navigate to this filter icon here at the top right hand corner. So this filter icon, we're going to simply click on that, and you can really start to narrow this down. You can narrow it down by year. You can narrow it down by the products you want it compared to, geographical area. So like I said, if you're only interested in what's going on in Iowa, you can select the Iowa ones. You can do different managements. You can do weather. You can do soil. So there's a lot of things that you can filter this down and really get very detailed with in this tool. From there, once you've made your filtering decisions, you're going to simply come down and you're going to hit apply filter. So that's going to go ahead and filter this down. So we're currently at 1,202. That should drastically reduce. So we're down to 309 different plots that this particular hybrid was used in. From there, let's go down. I talked about this map a little bit. It is an editable map, so you can add thresholds to this by going in and choosing manage thresholds. So if you want to see where this particular hybrid did very well, say like you want to see where it went over 5% of the plot average, you can add a threshold there. Once you hit apply, you can see that now anything in black is 2 to 5% plot average. And anything in green is above 5% of the plot average. So you can really see where that hybrid performed well. You can also add target layers to it. So if you want to look at maturity zones or agricore zones, you can layer that on top of it there. So you can actually see those as well. So it's a pretty neat map. From there, we can look at all these different charts and then move across. We've got market breakouts. And we can actually export these. So if you wanted to put one of these into a presentation, you could come over here to the 3 horizontal bars, open that up, and you could save it as an image there. You can also go, and that works for performance and yield. When you get into data, you can actually scroll down into this and create a CSV export down here at the bottom. So you can export that out to Excel. The last thing that I want to show you in here, now this is extremely detailed and we can go over some of the functionality, but if you've got actual agronomic questions, it may be better to ask your agronomist. I'm not really going to know that information. But from there, if you want to create an export of everything in here, you can come up to this export reports button here, select upon that. You can remove anything that you want. You can either create a PDF or a PowerPoint. I typically like to put them in PowerPoint. That way I can combine some of these charts on there and get a little better use of space, but you can do whichever you want. And then you'd simply hit generate report, and that would generate that report out for you. So with that, that is the updates to the Cropwise seed selector, and we will go ahead and open it up for questions now. So if you have any questions, go ahead and put those in the Q&A section, and Macy and myself will answer those now.